Hi friends, welcome to this session. Today, let us see some basics about machine learning. When the problem is too complicated to solve through programming, that means when we come across with a problem to solve wherein the input output function is not easily identified, but we do have data like input and output in abundant number, then yes, machine learning comes to our rescue. If we know a mathematical model that connects input to the output, then of course we can directly write a program and that's it. But many real-time problems are not that easy to convert into a mathematical model. Of course, earlier we used to have an approximate mathematical model and were ready to sacrifice the accuracy and all such issues. But today we have tremendous capacity of getting the data and storing the data at the same time. We have high power processing units so that we can process large amount of data at a reasonable time. So that's where machine learning comes into picture. So instead of making a program that connects input and output, which we are unable to identify, so what we can do is try to make use of the natural power we have, that is learning. We don't know how we learned the things, but yes, we learned them. The main process here is feeding our system, that is our brain, with the input and trying to make out something out of it. And this process we called learning. And the same process we want a machine to do. Instead of I writing the program, I would like to give a large set of data to the machine and ask the machine to understand itself what the data consists of, what the pattern the data is having, and all such things. And later, let it come with a mathematical model or some sort of model so that for any new query I have, if I ask my machine, it should come out with the correct and accurate answer for my query. So that is what is the aim of machine learning. So let's get back to our childhood before getting in detail about the machine learning. So first let us introspect how we learn. Most of the learning we started with imitation, and one of the important thing part of our learning was our early school life, where we had a teacher who used to teach us what The alphabet is what numbers are, and so on. So there we were shown the shape of the alphabet written on the board, and that goes to our mind through eyes. And the teacher used to tell what that alphabet is pronounced as. Like that is A, this is B, this is this is K, and so on. So one input goes from the board to the eyes and to the brain, and the other goes through the ears, the voice to the brain. The input through the eyes is what we can call input, and the input that is going through the ears to the brain is actually the output of that. So, how that character or the alphabet is pronounced. So, looking at the shape of the alphabet and hearing its pronunciation again and again and again repeatedly, we somehow in our brain try to connect the shape seen from the eyes and the pronunciation heard from the ears in our brain, and we somehow connected them. And the next time when that shape is shown, we recognize that that is pronounced as A or K, and so on. So this is one type of learning we had, where we were taught by our teacher or a supervisor. So while moving, we look around. So the childhood was a wonderful learning period where we used to look around and observe everything very keenly. And while looking around, we realized that there are many objects around us. It may be a tree, it may be a plant, it may be a shrub, it may be some things like a stone, pebble, or some animals like dog, cat, and all that. So, just looking at these things, we somehow could make out that these belong to different classes. So, like plants belong to one class, the stone and all that belong to another class, dog and cat belongs to one more class, and so on. So we may not be knowing names of that, and nobody was there to tell us that they are different and all, but just looking at them, observing them, their behavior and all that, we could make out that some things are plants, some things are immobile things, uh, non-living things, and there are some mobile living things, and so on. Animals, plants, stones, etc. Here, we could just look at each object and somehow find the property of the object, and the various objects sharing same properties were grouped together and formed a class. May not be knowing what to call them, but we were able to differentiate the objects of different classes, and we were able to make that two objects belonging to same class do have some common properties, and so on. So that's another way of learning. In this case, there is no one to tell us. In the previous case, there was a teacher to tell us how to pronounce the alphabet and all that. So this time, there is no one to tell us. We ourselves understood that. Then there was a third type of learning where we were trying to learn the skills, so like swimming, cycling, and all that. And of course, as long as we don't try and fail, we cannot learn them. So, cycling, if you remember back how you learned cycling, it just cannot be learned reading any book, or it cannot be just learned looking at how others cycle and all that. It has to be learned only on sitting on the bicycle and trying ourselves. And while doing that, because we don't know how to ride, so we keep falling and falling and falling, getting injured and all that. But still, we never gave up, and somehow we tried to learn the tricks. So each time we rode the bicycle, we were doing it better than the previous one. In all, what we were trying to do is we were just unknowingly noticing what type of activities will keep me longer on the bicycle without falling, and what type of activities will make me fall. So, in the later stages, the activities which keep me longer on the bicycle, we try to repeat them more oftenly, and we used to avoid the activities that were not allowing me to move longer, allowing me to fall down and all that. So in this, we try to improve our skills. So that's how we learn. So now let me give some official names to these three types of learning. The first one, where our teacher taught us, so we were learning under the supervision of our teacher. So this we call a supervised learning. In this case, teacher was showing the alphabet written on the board and pronouncing herself what it is, and we were getting both input and output for a given pattern, and that both input output went into our brain and somehow correlated them and learned that. So this type of thing where input output both are available in the form of data, we can make use of a machine learning which we call supervised learning. In the second stage, we had only looking at around the surroundings, and there was no one to tell us what a tree is, what a shrub is, but we could make out ourselves that this is different from other one. So we could identify the properties, we could identify the features knowingly or unknowingly, and make out that two classes of objects differ in their features. So that is what we called uh, unsupervised learning, because there is no supervisor to help us. So in this case, we have only input data. There is no labels attached to these data. So looking at the input data, we try to identify the features and correlate the features and cluster them into various classes. So classification is one of the examples that we can use in unsupervised learning, where only the input data is available, and this input data is fed to the machine and asks the machine to understand itself, try to get the extract the features from this, and then classify this data into various classes. And the third one, where we used to learn on ourselves while doing experiments. So we experiment on bicycle riding, and we just try to imitate what others were doing. But unless until we have a skill of maneuvering the bicycle, we cannot move on to the bicycle even for an inch. So to keep moving, we need practice. That means here in the third type of learning, the third type of machine learning, we don't have anything like data and all that, but we do have an agent, that is the one who is trying to ride the bicycle, and the environment, that means the what bicycle consists of, like handle is there, pedal is there. So to make sure that the bicycle keeps, if you want to be on the bicycle, then one thing we need to make sure is it should keep moving. So for that, we must keep pedaling, and at the same time, the bicycle may try to fall either to the left side or the right side. So to make sure that it doesn't fall, we must keep oscillating our handle to a left, right, and so on, so that we try to provide a opposite movement so that it doesn't fall. So it doesn't happen in a single step. So it needs a lot of learning, and the similar thing we keep doing. So in our third type of machine learning, we have an agent who does something on the environment, and when some action is done on the environment, we get a reward, either a positive or a negative. Like while driving, if we do rightly, then we continue for longer on the seat. But if you do something wrong, we fall down. So if you continue longer on the cycle, we get some happiness. But if you fall down, we get injured. So there will be some reward we are getting, positive as happiness, negative as a pain. So it may be reward or punishment, we can say. So this reward punishment is identified when an agent performs an action, and all the actions for which rewards are created will be encouraged in future, and all the actions for which there is punishment are avoided in future. So this cycle repeats multiple times, and at the end the machine learns the skills to do the activities, maybe like playing games like chess or sudoku or any such thing. So overall, finally, let me conclude that we have learned in three different ways. One, through someone who assisted us, which we called supervised learning. Other one, just by our own observation without experimentation, and that is called unsupervised learning. And third one, observing through experimentation, and these experiments either give rewards or penalties, and we try to repeat the actions more often that give us rewards, and avoid the actions that give us penalties. And this way of learning we called reinforcement learning. So in all, there are three types of machine learning: supervised learning, where we have input output pairs; unsupervised learning, where we have only input, no output; and reinforcement learning, where neither input is there nor output is there, but there is environment, and the agent performs some action on the environment and gets a positive or a negative reward or punishment, and accordingly improves the skills. So that's it for now. Thank you.